Call the meeting to order. First item, apologies for absence.
I've had apologies from Councillor N. Oakes, Councillor S. Oakes, Councillor Glenn, Councillor Fuller and Councillor Humphreys.
So, do we accept the apologies?
We do.
Okay. So, next item, declarations of interest. To receive and consider any declarations of interest from members and officers, to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests, to declare any other interests, to consider any gift requests for dispensation, to report any gifts or hospitality accepted over the value of £50, and to report any inappropriate gifts or hospitality offered. Does anyone have anything to declare?
I would like to declare under one of those headings because there's one of the checks on the check run is for me.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't think there's anything else to declare.
Everyone else happy? Okay, great. Minutes of previous meetings. So the proposition is to approve and sign the minutes of full council meeting held on 15th of May as an accurate record. Can I ask someone whether Bruce oppose that?
I'll propose it.
Thank you. And, Tony Robinson seconded. All those in favour? Yeah, okay, thank you. Next item, to approve and sign the minutes of the neighbourhood plan full council meeting held on 5th of June as an accurate record. And again, you hopefully had a chance to look at them, so
I'll propose.
thank you. Yeah, same councillors proposing and seconding. And those in favour? Yeah, that's everyone again. And now is the opportunity for public participation for Christina if she wants. Okay.
Assuming that you're doing under 184301, the matter that I'm here for.
Yeah, but we're not going to. I mean, the time if you want to say anything is now. So, are you happy to just let us get to that?
Yes, I mean, just to check that the note was circulated, was it?
Yes, the press release that you sent me.
Yes, so the information in that is, and the timing, nothing more to say.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. So, have we got any consideration of requests from interested parties? No, nothing to consider. So, the next item is reports. So, again, in your pack, you have a very brief report from me about what I've done since I was elected. Sorry?
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's been a ball. And we don't have a district council's
No,
report.
I've not had anything.
Okay. Okay, signing and sealing is the next resolution. The resolution is that any two councillors and proper officer may seal any document required by law to be issued under seal on behalf of the council. So I'll propose that. Councillor Robinson seconded. All those in favour? Okay. So this next item is Fletton Field. So town matters. To consider how Arundel Town Council supports the open spaces and recreation group with the bid for purchasing Fletton Field and how much financial support OTC will give. I guess everyone's familiar with the issue. I suppose, yeah, open to feedback really from councillors present.
So one thing that, I'm aware of is there are some of our residents that would prefer the field to be a old people's home. And they spoke to me after the annual meeting along that lines. We don't hear from them, but they do exist. So I don't know why we don't hear from them.
No. I mean, I suppose where I am on this is that the impression I get is that the Open Spaces Group has put together a very forceful argument as to why it should be protected as green space. It's not like there aren't other potential places where a extra care home could be developed without taking away the very limited green spaces we've got. I think the fact that Arundel Town Council has, prior to my involvement, but has over a long period of time been consistently in support of the Fletton Field and retaining it as a green space for the town, means that I think the first part of this matter to be considered is how we should support. Do we support how OTC supports the Open Space and Recreation Group? I think my impression is that the majority of councillors and the majority of the public do support the group in defending Fletton Field as a green space.
I think one of the big issues is whatever the balance on everything else, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
And that's the difficult bit to argue against in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, there are two parts to this. And one part I think relatively easy, and one part is distinctly not very easy. The part that I think is easy is that I agree with the Mayor, although there may be those who favour the idea of somewhere within the town there being if I can call it this, an older person's facility that perhaps isn't currently available. There is no doubt in my mind that the greater public support is for retaining Fletton Field. The tricky issue is obviously that how much question, and I have to say that I think the how much question is going to have to be debated on a confidential basis, because otherwise we're simply disclosing our hand to anybody who cares to listen. Now it's unfortunate because that means excluding the public from that part of the meeting, but I really don't see how we can very easily decide upon a figure publicly at a stage where giving away that information may be prejudicial to what we're trying to achieve. So in due course, I'm going to suggest that we actually invoke Standing Order 3B in order to do that. But perhaps we can cover in open council this, which is that clearly on a commercial basis, this council can't outbid somebody like, for the sake of argument, Persimmon. If Persimmon want it for development land, I think that they've got a reasonable chance of getting it as development land. The sort of money they're in a position to offer is going to exceed anything that we can put together, and I suspect that any kind of a coalition can put together. That doesn't mean to say that we shouldn't be serious about this, but in order to be serious, we have to know what's the maximum that's available. Now, it seems to me that that could include any unallocated Section 106 monies that are open to us for that purpose. And Clark will doubtless guide us on that. I have a feeling that that's a not inconsiderable sum, but it's in the tens of thousands rather than in the hundreds of thousands.
We've got two amounts of Section 106 money. One we had, that was in around about 40,000, we have earmarked for Snipe Meadow for the boardwalk. But there is another amount that we had talked about possibility of using to upgrade the skate park, and that amount is 70,000. Well, give or take, get the exact figure, but it's 70,200, something like that. And that was the amount that East Northampton said we would be able to use to purchase or put towards Fletton.
Well, it seems to me that which we've earmarked we could potentially unearmark. So you could argue there's over 100,000 there. We also built into the budget a sum of money to potentially take over the library, which it doesn't now look as if we're going to end up having to do in this financial year. And if I remember rightly, that figure is in the region of 50,000.
60,000.
60,000.
Well, we may be going to use some of that later on tonight when we discuss the bus.
There are all sorts of demands, and we could spend these sums, I suspect, many times over, and they would be worthwhile items of expenditure, and each would have their supporters. Unfortunately, we're confronted with a unique situation with Fletton Field, and we may have to make some very, very difficult choices around this. But as I say, it seems to me that in terms of any hard figure that emerges from tonight, as far as I can see, it either has to emerge from tonight or the July meeting, because I think that's the last full council meeting, other than any exceptional meeting we might call, at which we could take a decision. So where we go from here, I leave to others to decide, but it seems to me that there may be a case for getting into camera if we're going to mention,
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it?
propose a specific figure.
Yeah, it's difficult because I think those are genuine demands on the money, but it does occur to me that maybe there's a way of spending less than those total amounts on each of those projects, delivering an improvement to the boardwalk, delivering something in terms of the recreation facility, but also keeping money available to support the Fletton Field bid. In terms of how we proceed with this, can we propose a resolution tonight, or is it because we haven't actually put something on the agenda? Can we, if we do go into camera, would we, and if we could agree on something, would we be in a position to actually vote on that?
Because
We would.
we are going to consider how much financial support.
Okay. And do we think we have the information available to us this evening to have a meaningful discussion and make a decision on that?
Can I suggest that, I know Christina's got some information, are we able to?
Yeah, let's do that.
In terms of process, if we want to close the meeting to open it again, if that makes sense. Quite happy for you to ask some questions of us, if that would be helpful in that session. But also if we can maybe say a few words as well about responding to what you've said, Councillor Chappell, about the amounts of money and showing our hands. Unfortunately, we're in a situation where we have to be very public with the community about what our crowdfunding and what the bid that we want to put in is going to be in total. And unfortunately, we do have to show our hands a bit as a community group in that, and to put that bid into Northampton County Council. The other thing I draw your attention to in the paper as well, though, is that the bid that we've, the figures that we've suggested, we think is a fair offer. Takes account of the fact that we recognise that the land doesn't have planning permission on it at the moment. But actually, the figure that we've suggested as our fundraising target takes account of putting a bid in for more than we think the value is as a playing field, to recognise the contribution towards educational investment in the town. But also that with our bid, and because we're talking across the whole community, we'll put in what's called a social return on investment study that will try and cost all of the wider benefits of what Fletton Field will be used for in the future, and that we really are hopeful that that will then narrow the gap between what a developer might offer the field and what our community will offer, because of the wider health and wellbeing benefits that we're going to get over a longer time period for the uses. And already through engagement at the farmers market and through talking to the WI and across the community, already we've got some really good ideas about what people want to use the field for: community allotments, dementia walks, actually having our the FAB group, the physically handicapped and able-bodied group, being able to actually use it again. So cost all of that and actually put that in with our bid as well, so that it is seen as as an attractive offer, and we put that to NCC at the same time. So that was all I wanted to say at this point, just in responding to Councillor Chappell's comments. But but welcome. If you want to ask me anything, then of course we will do that, especially around the model, because you've put something in the paper there about charities as well, in our information in the article as well.
If we can't make a decision tonight, and we do defer it to July council meeting, is that going to give you a problem?
Well, it will.
Because you want to launch
the
your...
moratorium ends on the 21st of August, so that's the last date that NCC have to wait before they accept a bid from somewhere else. In communications with NCC, I'm led to believe, emphasis on led to believe, that bids will close in September, the end of September, but technically the moratorium is the 21st of August. That's the last date that NCC have to leave it open to a community bid.
Yeah. And you can't launch your crowdfunding page until you've had your done.
Crowdfunding. The way the crowdfunding we want to work that is that we've got the big bids in first, and then we open it up to the community, so that the community can see that we are already partway towards our fundraising target, and it's more likely to then, of course, be supported across the town. So we've been advised not to launch a crowdfunder until we've got the larger bids allocated.
Can I just ask two questions? Not going into any details. Are there other big funders around?
We've been having conversations across the community for
And
the...
secondly, the figure you mentioned in there, is that including whatever the council might be able to provide, or on top of?
The 275 includes, that's what we think our total should be.
That's all we're
Now,
aiming
we would
towards.
need to set a target slightly above that to cover things like fees and other costs, but essentially that's what we feel our bid should be.
From our point of view, it's very difficult to agree a sum of money in a closed meeting and not disclose it anywhere.
Yeah.
You do need to disclose it somewhere.
But in a way, the show in the hand thing is it's going to be out there in August anyhow, isn't it? So, and it's not going to get any bigger.
I mean, I do sort of understand the point you've made, David, but I'm a bit averse to doing it in private, to be perfectly honest, because if we're going to have to come out and tell you what the number is, well, let's have an open discussion about it.
Yeah, the only reason that I wondered was whether there was any merit, and I suspect from what I've heard the answer is not, to a situation in which this council provides information direct to the county council about a level of support, if you like, additional to that which has been raised within the community, so that that bit of it, our actual contribution, doesn't become a matter of public knowledge. But I'm not. It sounds to me as if that might run counter to what the group would want us to do, and I certainly don't want to end up putting a spanner in the works. So if that is not helpful, then I suspect we are going to have to make a decision in open council, whether that's tonight with a relatively small number of councillors present, although I know I can't be present next month, ironically. Again, I think we just have to make some sort of a call as to whether we think it's... What are we going to know extra in a month's time to enable us to make the decision more easier than it is tonight?
I think we'll probably, the only thing I think we'll probably know is what we're going to, whether we're going to support the Core Connect, which will take some of the funding out of that. But I also think this contingencies, although the library at the moment is stable, we don't really know for how long. And also there's the winter highways maintenance that we may have to take on, but we don't know about. So I don't know. I think that amount of money was put aside for things that we thought might happen during this financial year.
We do, of course, maintain a reserve. And in a sense, the whole point of a reserve is that if something exceptional happens, you dig into your reserves, and then in terms of precepting for the following year, if you need to rebuild the reserves, you have to build that back in again.
This is an exception. So a unique set of circumstances. But this won't come up again.
So
I,
it's not an inconsiderable amount of money that's actually held in reserve as well.
would it be helpful if we started with a just getting a vote on terms of do we believe that the Town Council should show full support for the Open Spaces and Recreation Group and should make a financial contribution to the bid. So
Right,
if I, yeah,
No, I'll second it.
okay, in favour. So I mean that's one thing. Good news. We're all in agreement. So we all do believe it's a good cause, something that is important to the town that we should be supporting. So all we've got to do now is come up with a number.
Do we know what the reserve is?
Well, some of our reserves are also earmark reserves. So the figure that I know that's in the bank is not necessarily what we've spent. So I think there's about 130 set aside for cycle paths. That's been
I was thinking,
confirmed with East Northants as well.
I was thinking more of the fact that we retain 3 months' worth of expenditure as our sort of
Oh
basic
right, yeah,
reserve.
yeah, the general reserve, yeah,
A general reserve as opposed to anything, because anything else is almost certainly there
yeah.
because it's an earmarked fund. Now, I'm not suggesting that we commit reserve funds to this project, but the reserve funds might be available for some of the other matters that the clerk's mentioned. I mean, the fact that we've got this Crawl Connect thing coming up on the agenda later may suggest that we could even defer this decision until after we've made that one.
I'm not sure we can actually.
I would argue that it's not really relevant to Core Connect because it's not a lot of money in this year.
I think they need to know by the end of
But
this month, I
next
think.
year would be pre-set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's only, I
it's
think
only
it's about, well, 3,000
yeah,
for this
it's not a
year.
lot of money this year.
3 this and 6 next.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as you say, neither here nor there.
Can I ask another technical question? If let's say the bid went forward and it was successful, how quickly would it then move? In other words, when would the cash be needed? Potentially.
So that's the conversations that I've had with James Aldridge, Northants County Council, is to try and get that point very much pinned down, because the bids will come in. The timescales he's giving us is the end of September. What we're also trying to say is, and then when will you have made your decision for us to draw down the funds and to impress on them that actually we need to make sure that when we set it, and this is important for the crowdfunder as well, because when people commit into a crowdfunder to donate a certain amount of money, they need to know a date when that will get drawn down out of their accounts. So it's absolutely critical that we say to NCC our bid is predicated on the basis that we get a decision and it's drawn down this financial year. That's still a conversation we're having with NCC, but we're hoping that we'll be able to get that.
So it certainly would be in the next couple of months,
No.
and it might be 6 months down the line, which might make things balancing things easier, maybe.
Do you think that £70,000 is reasonable?
And so could we come up with a figure as well that we could add to, potentially if other things worked in our favour, but at least as a minimum promise.
If the target is 275 with some add-ons, I'm wondering if this council should put forward a figure that represents a third of that.
That'd be a good ambition. Because in 100 years' time, there will be something that the town would still want to have. Which is a small sum of money. Plus an hour. So a round figure.
90, well, yeah, it'd be over 90,000.
We're looking at something in the region of 9,500.
Mm.
It's a stretch.
It would mean that a lot of the other things that we just mentioned probably couldn't happen this year.
Could we go with a lower figure and then over the next couple of months try and find a way to get to that figure as an ambition?
I think the only thing that might not go ahead is the skate park and replacement.
Yeah. Mm.
We probably have to shut down what we have got, because I think we've got some problems with that, haven't we?
I think it's last year there was some repairs done, but it is getting tired, and it, you know, there's more and more repairs. But it may be that we can get grants to help towards that. I can start looking for that. Yeah.
Maybe get some more community involvement with the skate park, you know, labour, whatever it happens to be, to try and lower that figure to free capital up for.
Yeah.
There are other funds we probably.
And the other thing I was thinking about was the boardwalk, because you know there's quite an ambitious plan to refurbish it, which is not cheap. We could continue to do remedial work and you know, or you know, look at the cheaper alternatives that we have seen. So rather than the plastic wood, which would last forever, you know.
It is in quite. I was down there this week. No, not this week. End of last week. It is in a very bad way.
Could we start
but
with plastic wood?
We were down. Sorry, we were down there with a view to looking to widen it, add extra bits into it. You may just want to let's say, do some more extensive repairs, which would be nice. We still have. Well, we have 20,000. That we only spent a few thousand of that last year. So, but that's.
Yeah.
Again, that's a decision
Well,
to
I think
make.
there is an obligation upon us to do that, because we manage it on behalf of, I forget the name of the body we manage it on behalf of, that they actually require us to do a number of things, one which is grazing it, which we've never successfully done yet.
It's not secure enough, I don't think, is it?
No. So we've got to spend some money on making it secure and doing that. Otherwise, I think we might at some stage be in trouble with.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. It's
whoever-
in England, England something.
No, it's not natural.
No, it's not. Something.
Something like that. It's not there.
But yeah, it does need attention.
So we don't cut it out entirely, but we can maybe phase it.
But leaving that money aside, I think we've probably got enough between the skateboard park money, taking out there a sum to scrap what we have got, take down the existing skateboard park, and go without one for a short time, or get a grant from elsewhere, an ENC grant of some description to pay for that, and that together with a proportion of the provision we made for NCC services we may have to take over. We'd have to allow a bit for a bad winter, because we may have to fill grit bins and things. So keep some in there, but of that 60k there, together with the 70k, those two figures together are in excess of the amount we're talking about donating. So I think we possibly could do some wheeling and dealing, a bit of mangling. We could probably come up with that sort of figure out of those two amounts.
Yeah.
Between the section 106, do just a scrapping of the existing skate ramps, and put a smaller provision aside, and we have to use our reserves if we have a bad winter, but we pray for another mild winter. We might get away with putting aside, between those two funds, we might be able to put aside, there's 130,000 there, we might be able to find 95 out of that, possibly.
So I suppose the question really for us then is, do we feel that of the three green spaces we've just been talking about, the rep will clearly be less of an amenity than it would otherwise have been if we don't spend the money. The Snipe Meadow will be, again, less of an amenity. But the alternative is potentially we could lose Flitton Field altogether. Given that choice, I suppose the proposition is that we prioritise Flitton Field above those other areas in response to the fear of losing it completely.
Just ask the clerk for some clarity on one point, which is, if we decide to make that money available, are our hands tied at all about whether the council will have to have some continuing involvement with influence over ownership of Flitton Field itself? I mean, because if we appear to be potentially simply handing it over to another body,
Yeah.
a body which doesn't perhaps entirely exist at the moment in terms of a suitable charity. I think the member of the public would like to intervene.
Sorry, yes. The proposal is that we would set up a charity and the trustees would be drawn from across Amble. So it wouldn't be the Green Spaces group that would be the owner of the field, it would be the charity, and the trustees would be drawn across from across Amble, and we would seek to set up that charity when we know that we're the winning bid. So terms of the trust would secure that.
Like the museum.
Yeah, I was thinking to say we may get round that by having a similar arrangement to the museum where we've got half the trustees and various other bodies have got the other half of the museum trustees. So that sort of thing could be done. Something along those lines where we have a representative interest in it. We do a similar thing with Parson Latham, I believe, where we have representatives on there. So that's possible. I don't know what the reaction would be from the youth counselling people, because we did talk to them about, as an incentive to the youth of the town, especially in trying to deal with drug issues and other things, and steer them along the path of doing something creative and constructive, that we get the youth of the town involved in building a new skate park. So if we take this money away, we've probably got to consult the various youth counselling bodies and talk to them. We didn't commit.
No,
We didn't
I
commit
have-
to some degree.
I have
With an idea.
I have spoken to them because we've been having these smaller satellite meetings, and at the last one I mentioned that we were potentially thinking about using this money for something else, but from that I thought that we'd talked about the skate park, but it may be that Flitton Field can be something that the youth can, so the project could be there. It doesn't, I think it was just at the time we were thinking of projects and that was just one that came up,
It was.
but it may be that would be the new project.
Could we also look at maybe working in partnership with the Amble Recreation and Green Space Group? Because the skate park is a green space.
We talked about that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So actually, it's not just one or the other, they might work together quite well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I think
So I just got one. What I can do is, I mean, I think I need to go back exactly and go speak. Well, they said we could use that £70,000. I just want to say exactly how we're going to be doing it with this bid. But the other money for Snipe Meadow is 46,000. So we could say, I could ask if we could use some of that as well. Because I'm just thinking I don't think we'll be able to use Section 106 money to take down the skate park, because it's all about buying new things. So I think we'd have to use our own money to take that down.
well, I think as we've already explored, there is other money available.
Yeah.
We might have to, and there may be grants available for other things as well. So we might have to tailor what we do. But I think what I'd like to do is get to a vote that agrees to commit £95,000 as we see this as the highest priority for all of those projects. So can I ask?
I'm just worried about what we saw happening in Northampton over the football field, and about our authority to put this sort of money into another hand or another body. You know, just in terms of our safety checks and what we're talking about here, we're talking about a lot of money going into another body and giving it away.
Yeah, which is not alone, as like the Northampton one. We're not expecting to see it again. It's going.
Yeah. So it's one thing if the thing was going to be another asset, an Arundel Town Council, we say we're allocating money to that asset, but it isn't, you know, a physical asset. You know, physically it's there for the people of Arundel Town Council, I understand, but we don't own it. You know, so we are giving, you know, a lot of money away to another body. Are we authorised to do that?
Well, we've done that with Queen Victoria Hall, and we do that regularly. We put money into that, and that is there for the people of the town. We also pay the loan for all the refurbishments, which exceeds this amount.
Yeah. So how are we authorised to do that? And what legal?
Well, that is because you're sole trustees of the council is the sole trustee of the Queen Victoria Hall. I would say that if that bid is successful, then it would be very similar to how you said how the museum works. So we would be part of that trust. And this would be in like as we give grants.
Sorry,
Can I offer a suggestion to you then, that maybe you make conditional that on the basis that you have a certain number of trustees on the charity that's set up?
we'd have to have something like that, wouldn't we? Just, you know, say, you know, what happened in Northampton, you know, with the you know, I know it was a loan, but it just went terribly awry, and then, you know, it seemed that they could legally do it, but the aftermath of it was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be suggesting this if we didn't feel it was supported by the majority of people in the town. I mean, it's, you know, we're here to represent the public, and you know, this is what we feel.
I don't think there are many similarities between this situation and the...
No, all I'm looking at is large sums of money going out of our control. You know, and you know, so whilst, you know, I thought it might have been something that was Arundel Town Council's field, you know, and that, you know, that was all right, but to put this amount of money outside of our control...
We have actually already spent money together because there's been an inquiry, a long inquiry which cost a lot of money. And we managed that all right.
Yeah. Plus, we're not signing the cheque tonight, are we? So if...
And also technically, £70,000 of that, although is given to us from Section 106 money, it is specifically to spend on outdoor recreational activity and land for the people of Arundel. So, although the money comes to us, it's technically for the town.
Good.
But it also ticks the box very nicely for the actual use of it.
Yes, yeah.
I think we've got a reasonable consensus. I sort of made a proposal, but I'll try it again if you like.
Yeah.
So we're proposing that Arundel Town Council commits £95,000 in support of the Open Space and Recreation Group, and we're going to ask for a third of the trustees if it should be successful.
Well, I was going to make an amendment, but it was going to be along those lines. Now, former mayor is correct. I mean, with the museum, for example, we have an equal number of trustees with the outside bodies, and the mayor chairs that trust. And I would think that there would be a case saying that the town's most kind of prominent public person in terms of the mayor should perhaps become the chair of the trustees. And I think that it wouldn't be unreasonable that we're putting up what I suspect is going to be a pretty substantial chunk of the money, but you can't actually make all the individual crowdfunders trustees, or we end up with a trust that will consist, hopefully, of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not a few thousand people. So I would say that we should aim for an equal number of council trustees to other trustees with the chairmanship of the mayor. But if we say that that's the aim, I mean, these are matters of detail which will have to be negotiated with the group as and when, and those discussions could potentially start at any time, it seems to me.
Okay.
Sorry, so did we say that, did we have an agreement?
Well, we didn't really. I suggested, as if we're paying a third of the money, we have a third of the trustees, and the counter is maybe we should have half and the chair, but
Well, as I said, up to.
At least the third.
Well,
In case this proves to be difficult with other potential funders as well, I don't know, but I think that that would be a reasonable aim based on the model of the museum. It's not saying it's absolute, but it's aspirational,
okay.
and it makes it clear.
So we within the proposition, if we say that we propose that the council should have should have up to half of the trustee positions, and would suggest that the mayor would chair the. I don't know what the mayor will be if this ever happens, but I think the mayor's got enough to chair without another one. But there we go.
No?
So I thought it was secondary money.
So quick, you've proposed it, seconder.
For what is that? I
Do you want to read it
Right,
back?
just sorry,
I'm
just
not confused
Yeah.
now about
The
Yeah.
proposal is that Andertown Council, so I may be confused actually when I read this back. The proposal is that Andertown Council commits £95,000 towards the bid for Fletton Field, and that up to half of the total number of trustees are Arundel Town councillors, and the mayor chairs the trust.
Come on, I'll second it if you're hesitating.
I mean, we may have to tweak the model.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's nothing stopping
I don't think
this
it's
changing.
precise.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping this changing in discussion with the group if we
Have we changed the
They
seconder?
might decide that I can't.
Have we changed the seconder, or are we staying?
No, I'm
Right, okay.
Okay, we got there?
Yep.
Those in favour? Good, got there.
That's as well, there's not many of us in my view.
Yes, it could have been longer.
That could have taken a good hour.
Okay, let's move on then. So the next item is to receive an update on North Bridge. Now, I think everyone was in the meeting with Northampton County Council.
Except me.
Probably except you, okay. And there's been an awful lot of emails flying backwards and forwards, so I don't think we need a massive update here. I mean, basically the latest information was shared by Northants. We've not heard anything different. We haven't got a date in the diary for a meeting to discuss any mitigation measures. So I don't really think there is an awful lot to update.
I was hoping that we'd have a date that when the public consultations start, but I've not had no response.
Have NCC released a statement about, I read it somewhere online, but it was an actual quote, that it sounded like their timescale was slipping a little bit.
Nothing has come directly to me,
No.
but that doesn't necessarily mean that that isn't the case, that it hasn't happened.
I think it's already described their timescale slipping.
Yeah.
So they put nothing in stone in their timescale.
It
It was at least their beginning statement. Yeah.
I think the working party's meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to look at routes of traffic around town and the backbone of the discussion with them.
Yeah.
So, basically, we know it's going to be a year and a half at least. Therefore, we need to prepare the town for it.
Yeah.
There's sort of two elements in my mind. One is the bits about one-way traffic. And I'm reluctant to go ahead with one-way traffic unless we have to, because it means all the residential traffic is inconvenienced by it. And then the other one is how they control the vehicles across the bridge. And when you go anywhere near that bridge, they're not masses of heavy goods vehicles going over it. A lesser control over it seems to be what we want to argue for. But anyway, we've got that meeting tomorrow to see if we can pick a way through.
Okay. fine, we'll move on then. Next item, to receive a letter from the post office informing us of the decision following the public consultation to move the post office. So again, if you've read it, it's date's not been announced yet, but it's happening. To receive an update on Animal Speed Watch.
It's me. I did my annual Speedwatch training a couple of weeks ago, which is very exciting. I can now push the trigger and do things. The most important thing we were told to do was not to celebrate that we got people. And I failed celebrating twice when I was doing 57 and 30 miles over. The Speedwatch group, I haven't got an actual timetable, but in the next couple of weeks they've got the camera here. And then August, September-ish, they've got the camera between here and Cotterstock. I suppose two things that came out of the training session was one is the police have got stickers with 30 mile an hour speed watch signs on, which they're very keen to get out for people to put on bins. So when the wheelie bins all go out at the same time, there's a whole row of speed signs, which seemed a good idea. I've asked Alex at the Speedwatch group to see if we can get hold of lots, but of course we might need some with 20 mile an hour in some of the parts of town. So the other thing is that they showed us a very nice toy, which is a mobile speed sign with a smiley face and a frowning face, which you can bolt and unbolt to various signposts around the town. And the idea is you put it up for a few days, get people used to it, take it down, put it up somewhere else a few weeks later, just to keep surprising people. And Alex was going to get in touch with the police and see if they could find out a price for us.
Okay.
Whether we could maybe look to budget for one. I think it might be about £600, but it might be a useful thing to have around the town at some point in the future.
Okay, thank you. Next item is to agree to set up a working party to review the parking options in the town. So I think this was as a response really to how much comment has been on parking in all of the consultations we've been doing. So I suggested that a sub-group could perhaps get together and try and come up with some new ideas, or at least explore some old ideas maybe about whether or not there are things we could do better in terms of providing parking spaces. I think there were a couple of people who expressed an interest in doing that. I think Ian, you were one, were you not? And Councillor Robinson, but I mean that doesn't preclude anyone else. They're not all here, of course, tonight. So,
Is it worth linking it to the Northbridge working party at the moment? Because the two things might
I think I keep them separate. I tend to keep them separate. But, I know where the issues are. Because Northbridge is going to cause so much problems with parking. But yeah, they need to work at the same speed. If nothing else.
I was hijacked by a parishioner yesterday who was incensed by the fact that the car which brings the traffic wardens, which of course are a private company, a licence to the county, park outside the dentist all day. On limited parking. She's living with that. She challenged them. And they do have a sticker, I went to look, on the car, which says that they've got a county council issued. So how the county council can issue it for our parking, I don't know, but they have. Did you know this? For this car to park all day.
Yeah, because I suppose you have to go to them to get permission for parking restrictions, don't you? So I suppose they can have a sticker to override it all.
But she may well come, I mean at the moment she accepted it, but she may go and run.
I think you can say parked on double yellow lines or something.
Well,
That's well be.
so does anyone else feel they want to be involved in that? That's here?
Well, I'd like to, but I don't know about how much time I'm going to have. But I think it might be useful to have somebody from the planning committee as well involved.
Okay. That's a good
so
thought.
you're saying yes?
Yeah,
Well, we'll
we'll see if we can make it work.
Someone like that, okay. And I would feel
We can ask anybody that isn't here. Yeah,
I'm asking everyone else. And I mean, I don't think it needs to be too big. But I mean, it was sort of wasn't my idea exactly, but I sort of proposed it, so I'd quite like to be involved in it.
There's three of you, so that's
Yeah.
that's
Okay. don't need a vote or anything to do that. No, just making that. Right. Next item is to consider and agree to subsidise the cost for Call Connect bus service. So again, in your pack, there is a schedule of costs which lists the contribution by all the parishes, including Oundle. I mean, my first reaction, I suppose, was it's not an awful lot of money that they're asking for.
I was interested by the weighting procedure. You seem to weight the figures from one number to a much larger number and then base the numbers on that. I couldn't quite work out how. Just said it had. I figured about fivefold.
I'm not sure what this word on it called town usage is. They've invented it for Oundle. There's a huge number there.
That's to help the weighting, I think.
It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, the original is trying to suggest that on the other sheet that we've got, that the 5,000 who boarded and the 5,000 who alighted in Oundle, all Oundle benefited from all of those people. And then they came to the conclusion that perhaps they didn't benefit from that. A small number was town usage, which was people going from town, from one point in town to another point in town, and a lot of the others were actually coming in from somewhere to then catch an X4 bus in Oundle, and that's the only reason they came to Oundle, was to catch an X4 bus to Peterborough or to Corby. There were certain other things apart from the X4 bus that people came into Oundle for, and that was unfairly weighting Oundle, the number of people getting on and off here.
Yes.
So I think they then need some adjustments.
No, I did the adjustments.
Yeah.
I did the sums.
We
Have a go ahead about it.
independently. We both
Yeah.
pointed out to
Yeah.
her that these were not fair on Oundle.
Heather did tell me that East Northants have committed some money.
Oh,
She
good.
didn't tell me how much, but I'm just... does this only go ahead if all of these people
This
give?
is what they're saying.
Because
aren't they?
Warmington is the highest.
Sorry?
Warmington is the highest contribution.
We just use
Well,
It would be now because
The X24, the 24.
Yeah,
the
for this year alone, they've got to stump up 7,500.
yeah, you see, and the point that they've missed completely is the fact that many of the parishes named on the list actually don't raise a precept.
Yeah, I
So
know.
they haven't got a snowballing house chance of actually getting any money from anywhere.
Yeah, because I just thought we could all commit this money, but if half of them can't commit money,
does it
Right.
disappear?
does it disappear anyway?
Yeah.
I had two questions about it. Did Heather suggest at the meeting there on the 7th of June that one of the issues seems to be with the Call Connect, it only comes to Oundle to act as a node to go somewhere else? And she was suggesting that Call Connect elsewhere often will take people direct to the local hospital or direct to wherever it happens to be. And she was suggesting that they were looking to change that.
They're changing, aren't they? At the moment, you can't get Call Connect from Oundle to Peterborough, for
Exactly.
instance, or even anywhere
because there's
remotely
an
near.
X4 bus.
Do you
There's
mind?
an X4 bus, even though it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you an example. One of the big travel companies picks up at I think it's the Co-op roundabout as you go into Peterborough, right? But the bus doesn't stop there, so it's of no use to anybody. But they're now talking about actually going into Peterborough. I don't know how they'll get around the restrictions, operating restrictions.
My mother's just moved to Oundle from near Grantham, and the Call Connect operates their little shuttle bus, and they have a bus service that goes to Grantham, and the Call Connect will pick them up at their home and take them into Grantham to the hospital. The
Yeah.
bus drives, it does the same route, and it seems odd that the same
Well, when they
setup does
started
different
ours, it
ways.
was called some Country Connect or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they did that, but that was fairly quickly abandoned.
Well, it was County
And
Connect,
County Connect.
and it was Northants County Council that were running it. The Call Connect service is Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
NCC found that they couldn't run it very successfully and were going to abandon it, Lincoln said they'd take it on, and I think the money then went from NCC to Lincoln. NCC made a contribution to Lincolnshire County Council, and they run the Call Connect service. So that's why it changed.
But their Stamford Call Connect service doesn't link to ours, does it? You can't make the two services.
There is an overlap, because I've been on the one that starts in Amble in the marketplace and goes to Stamford, goes to the bus station and to Morrison's in Stamford on a Friday morning. Leaves here about 9:30, gets there about 11 o'clock, and then does the return run round about 1:30 or something like that, which gets you back home about 2:15 or something like that. So there is that one that does that. There was another one going the other way, because we tried very hard at one stage and it never got support. We tried very hard to get Stamford people to come and support our market on Thursday. So if we were going to go to them on a Friday and shop in Stamford, we came up with the idea that we'd like them to come on a Thursday to our market day, to come and shop in Amble and patronise our market. But it never really caught on. I think Waitrose were going to subsidise it, but they never did. We didn't know that until the meeting a few weeks ago, that Waitrose didn't. But they had it as one of the stops, one of the official stops for that bus was Waitrose, because they were contributing to it, as we thought. But so there were links between the Stamford service and the Amble service, and there is a slight overlap in that one or two villages do appear in both. I think King's Cliff is sort of change-over point. I think you can go to King's Cliff.
I tried to get to Wanstead, that's why I couldn't get. But
Yeah.
I suppose the other question that someone raised with me is, if you gave the money that Call Connect is asking for to volunteer action, for example, how far would they be able to carry a similar number of people in a similar number of ways? I don't know. It seems like we're subsidising two ways of getting people in and out of Amble.
Volunteer action really has a more charitable purpose, so it's not acting as an ordinary bus service.
No, I appreciate that, but in terms of, we're saying there are people who need to get in the Amble to go shopping or go to the doctors or something, which seemed to be the argument with Call Connect. It just sounded like there were different ways of...
Well, we do sift the calls we get, in that those we think should be done by Call Connect. We advise people to go to Call Connect. Because in an ideal world we would cease to exist. I mean, that's the whole point. But,
It seems to me the clerk made a very valid point earlier on, which is that this may be so much pie in the sky. If the whole thing is predicated on contributions coming from everybody, and it is extremely unlikely that that's going to happen, then what? I mean, do we make any contribution that we might decide upon tonight contingent upon all the money that they require being raised?
Yeah.
And so it's not available unless you do it.
But we only need to be contingent on them keeping the bus going, don't we? You know, if they find some other way of getting money from the villages, yeah, that's over to them.
And it would be interesting, well, I don't know.
Unless you're saying that if the villages don't contribute, why should we?
It's not quite so much that, although there is a bit of a thing in those ways, actually. It's more a fear of putting money into something and then discovering that we get nothing for it.
No,
Councillor Chester will immediately know what I'm referring to.
but no, but yeah, so, you know, I support that we only put the money in if there's a bus service that's provided from it. We put the money in for a bus service.
Yeah.
quite whether they would accept it on that basis, because they'll probably say that they would have to keep the situation under review. But my fear is, what if 6 weeks after we voted the money, they review it out of existence again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we actually going to get our money back?
I think we can only commit on condition.
That this continues, certainly for this year, if we
Yeah.
commit the 3583.
Absolutely not committing long term.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that it would continue.
And also, I mean, I don't, like I say, I don't know how much East Northants have contributed. I mean, if they've contributed a substantial amount to help with all the villages that don't have precepts and don't have enough money, I don't know.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because in a good community, you would provide a service. Because we are a rural community and there is a huge need for people to remain in contact with each other and, more importantly, with the services. But at the same time, we're not here to sub the villages.
But I think that what has been proposed or asked for is not excessive. I mean, it's, you know, it's 14%, not 50% of the cost. Given we can afford it, and we have made a provision in our budget for exactly this eventuality, I think I understand it'd be irritating if we paid £3,600 or whatever it is, £3,600, and the service disappears in 3 months' time. That will be irritating, but they won't be getting any more money next year, then, will they? So, it seems to me not excessive. So, do we?
The other way of doing it is what we have sometimes done with our own grant funding, is to make it available in tranches. And we could say, well, we'll pay you so much a month, so long as the system is running. That way, if the system stops, at least the exposure is only 1 month. So if you're talking about between now and the end of the calendar year or the end of the financial year.
September to March.
Yeah, so September to March, so we don't even technically need to start paying till September.
So if we pay between September and March, that's 6 months worth of, what was it, 3/6? So we're talking about £600 a month, or why don't we say that we'll pay them so much a month
A month.
throughout that period,
Seems fair.
provided the system continues to run?
I've just seen the footnote, and our figures and Thrapston's figures are based on people catching the bus that used to go between the two towns.
That's right. I'm trying to work out how fast that was.
I mean, there may be a completely different kind of usage.
Okay, do we just take a vote?
Yeah, let's do it. We've got to do it.
So all those in favour of funding it?
Have you had a
Do I need to do that as well?
should we do a
Do yours?
proposal and a seconder?
Yeah.
Okay,
Should we do that in this?
okay, so
Before we do that, I don't think that idea of doing it monthly will work, because I think they've got to commit to a number of contractual arrangements with the contractor. I don't think the contractor is going to
Want it in
provide a bus service and find buses and things month by month. I think they're going to want, sometime long before September, they want us to commit so that they then provide buses and know how many buses and where those buses will be based and drivers salaries and all the rest of it.
But we are committing, Councillor Sparks, we're committing to the full amount. It's only the method of delivery to them.
So provided they deliver what they say,
They'll
the
get their money.
commitment is there.
So we can do
I
it.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, the contract can be worded in that way,
Well,
quite safely.
If they come back and say that that's a problem, we'll have to review it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why not start September on that basis?
I suspect they will, because I think they told us something along those lines at the meeting that we attended. Yeah, it was.
okay, so can we have a proposer then for that? Thank you. And the seconder? No, who was first there? We'll say Councillor Chapel, shall we? and are we still in favour? We're still in favour. Great. Okay. receive the clerk's monthly report. So again, that's been circulated in your pack. So if there's no questions for the clerk, then we've got the next item, which is to approve the terms of reference for committees and working parties. Again, you've had those, and I think there have been notes in the
I think it's the planning.
finance and the planning ones where we've made some revisions. So there was a note in the minutes of the finance and general purposes committee meeting where we just changed the job titles a bit to reflect what we're actually doing now, and then there's David's notes in the planning terms of reference were actually a bit more substantial, aren't they? Because you've got a few issues in them.
Well, yes. We discovered at the start of the meeting when we hit the terms of reference that you only got to line 1 and realised that it was a practical problem because the terms of reference are predicated on a standing order that says there should be not less than 7 councillors. And there aren't 7 councillors currently on the planning committee. We decided we were going to carry on anyway and went ahead and did the business on the basis that on any construction it was a quorate meeting because there were 6 of us. But it does beg the question. Now this came about, and it's the only committee where it happened, because at one time we'd said all councillors can be members, but we thought at the time that perhaps we should put in a kind of a minimum number against that background because we hadn't got any other committee that operated like that, and chose half the council because certainly at the time that was happening that wasn't a problem. We weren't running into difficulties. However, it's quite clear that over the last 12-24 months it probably is more of a difficulty to get 7 members actually to come forward to be members of the planning committee. We just about managed it last year one way or another, but that may need looking at, although technically it involves a review of standing orders, which of course we had before us last month, and it's like confession time. Due to busynesses, I finally finished what I was putting together for the clerk at the weekend and emailed it to her, but it's too late to be considered tonight. And since I'm not actually around for next month's meeting, it might very well be that we won't actually return to it till September. But we probably should look at that issue, but whether we can actually technically look at it if it involves an amendment to standing orders as well is debatable. If we can't look at that, the other one that we brought up was that it was agreed, in fact it was agreed in full council, and we were looking at all sorts of structural issues, and this goes back about 3 years, I would have thought now, really. That because we didn't get 14 councillors, or 13 as we currently have, sitting around a table looking at planning applications on a regular basis, nevertheless there would be some applications that would come forward that would be so significant that almost certainly everybody would want to participate, and the town would almost certainly expect the council to participate. So we devised a system which said that if a planning application came out that the chair of planning or the committee itself deemed so significant that it ought to be actually decided in full council, and the application would actually be referred on to full council. But that isn't actually reflected anywhere in the terms of reference, so I put something together to cover that. And I think that bit's relatively, hopefully, uncontroversial, and we can probably manage that. I think the more fundamental difficulty is around numbers, because if you actually had 14, your quorum would be 5, whereas I think at present the quorum for the planning committee is technically 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now actually, I think we have generally just about managed to get 5 councillors, planning meetings. I
think we
certainly can't
amended
think
it.
of one where we would have definitely not been quorate. But of course, planning not being quorate is almost as problematic as full council not being quorate, because we're operating to deadlines. We have to put in a response, and if we can't do it because technically we're not quorate, then it just doesn't happen. So we need to try and keep a realistic quorum.
I mean, we have 11 councillors at the moment in total. But that's because we've got the 3 vacancies. I mean, if you were thinking of full council, you still have to talk in terms of 14 with quorum, with it being a quorum. And you'd have to have 5, but you could, I don't know, if you did want to change that to 6. Because at the moment, you can't meet.
We seem to be operating outside standing orders and our terms of reference, unless somebody else joins the planning committee. Now, we've got a couple of weeks before the next planning committee. Is that councillor Sparks volunteering?
No. We're going to raise a point. We've, in terms of full council, and it may well affect subcommittees thereafter, that we have discussed many times that it was perhaps a mistake to change from a council of 12 councillors to a council of 14 a few years back. And we've struggled ever since. I think we've only had 14 for a very short space of time. A matter of about 5 months, I think, did we actually have 14 councillors. And we've not hit it since that short period. So we have discussed on a number of occasions going back to 12. I don't know when we have to do that. Probably during this year, we'll give due notice to ENC that we're going to do it.
I think they have to do a sort of review of all sorts of things, don't they?
Well, if they were going to have to do it, bearing in mind there's an election in May next year, they'd probably have to crack on with it.
Got to be before then.
But I suspect it would actually have to be a properly agendaed item.
Yes.
Not sort of sneak it in on the back of a
No.
planning committee terms of reference.
No, you can't. No. No.
So
But I think we
that
ought
is
to be
illegal,
thinking about it on
something.
full council at some stage pretty soon, if it's going to be taken to, if it's going to be something that the election of council in 2019 will refer to.
There's quite a bit involved in it. I seem to remember asking about it once before, and it's not something that you can just...
No.
And I think they charge you. There's something that they do, because they have to... And I'm not even sure if
Well,
they'll
there
just
wasn't
do it...
much involved when we went up in number, was there?
But did they do that with a lot of others as well at the same time?
No.
Or did you just ask for it
No,
yourself?
it's just us.
Yeah.
And it varies dramatically across the county.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got some tiny parishes where they've got about 14 to 15 councillors, and they never have a shortage. They're a waiting list, effectively, of people who want to become
I
councillors.
did invite them.
And-
Always
and-
at 13, never drop the load.
Yeah, and then you've got other places where you've got town councils of some considerable size in some cases, and they struggle to come anywhere near it. So it varies tremendously across the county, and there is no parity. It's not a case of you've got a councillor representing X number of parishioners. There's nothing like that across the county. It varies tremendously. So I think they find it very hard to say you're a town of 6,000 population, therefore you should have 14 councillors. They might, if our neighbourhood plan, if we suddenly had a huge amount of housing development, like another 1,200 houses suddenly appear, they might say that we need more councillors to represent them. But apart from something like that, I don't think that there's anything that...
Right, can I bring us back to the agenda item, please? So we're specifically talking about the terms of reference. So what we're asking is we don't have a proposed terms of reference for planning. Is it?
Well, we do have the one thing that's incorporated in there, which is the bit that I said about having it actually within the terms of reference that the planning committee chairman or the committee itself should refer
Yeah. Okay, so,
what I'm going to call strategic planning applications to full council, but that's, in a sense, it's whoever's in the chair makes that call, or if it just so happens
Might
that the
take
whole
the
committee
once
could.
in a few years.
Well, it doesn't happen all that often. I mean, I would have said the last one where that probably would have applied was the Persimmon application for 95 homes off St Christopher's Drive, because that was obviously a pretty significant one. But I would like to do that, but I think
Okay.
we've got to look at this other issue. But I just don't know how you actually resolve it without appointing somebody else. Even if somebody joins who doesn't actually want to go along, provided we can still hit our quorum, which we probably can, at least we've then
Do that.
technically got the right number of members. So I would urge somebody who isn't currently on the committee to at least volunteer.
All right.
It's remarkable what you can do with a little arm twisting.
He's done it to shut you up.
Thank you, Councillor. I thought if I kept on going long enough, somebody would want to put us all out of our misery. Good, thank you very
Right,
much. That's all that.
may or may not attend meetings.
Well,
Okay.
I can't give him carte blanche.
Yeah. Okay, so in that case, we're just taking them then all as a group, aren't we? So are we now happy then to approve the terms of reference for committees and working parties? Can I have a proposer? And a seconder? And are we in favour? Yeah, we're
And
done.
I'll amend them and then send them all out again.
Right, the next half a dozen items, and Emma will correct me if I've got this wrong, but my understanding is this is all to do with GDPR. All of the documents are basically templates that have been provided by NCAL. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and I've literally just... The only one that I have had to do some work on, really, is the map. And this is just a sort of work in progress document which just literally maps out what we've got and what we do with it and where we hold it.
well, it needs to be a live document anyway, doesn't it? 'Cause
Yeah,
that will evolve.
that will
Yeah.
change
Yeah.
sort of day to day. The others are model documents from Northants Calc.
So we've got three things. I'm assuming I can do this. I'll take them all together.
If you wanted to do it, yeah.
We're going to appoint Northants Calc as the DPO service, so as Council's Data Protection Officer, which they're doing at no charge, at least for this year, as
Yeah.
part of our normal NCALC subscription. To adopt the data map, which Emma's just described, and then there's this set of documents, the data protection policy, the subject access request procedure, the data breach policy and the records retention policy, and the next point to adopt the privacy notices. So what I'm suggesting is that unless anyone's got any questions, queries or wants to raise any points, that we propose to accept and adopt and appoint all of those points 1845, 01, 02, 03 and 04. Is that a proposal? That's second or second. Yeah, press second, yeah. So Councillors Robinson and Clark in favour? Yeah, so that's done. We do also receive completed security compliance checks from all councillors, which I know Emma was doing
Yeah,
at the
I've still
start of the
just got a
meeting.
few more and I'll just chase them up
Okay.
as well.
And we've also just got a note that the council is already registered as a data
Yes,
controller
yeah.
with the ICO. Okay. So, moving on to financial matters. To approve the bank reconciliation balance sheet, budget report and hub trading account for April and May. If no one's got any questions, then I shall ask someone to propose that. Thank you. Councillor Robinson, and to second it,
They're not into the exercise anymore.
Councillor Clark. And can I ask for those in favour to show? 5, 6, that's everyone. And then the next proposition is that the schedule of payments for May 2018 are presented at this item are paid up and then all related documentation and cheques are signed. So I'll propose that.
One second.
Councillor Clark, in favour?
Can I help?
Okay, because you've got it, because you will. Okay.
Going to get
Okay.
some.
Okay. So, to receive the minutes from the Finance and General Purpose Committee meeting held 12th of June. And the next item then is to approve a quote for CCTV at Fletton House.
Yeah, this came before the finance and before, no, not sorry, it came, it was at the estates meeting and it was recommended for approval. It's to add two TV monitors, one in my office and one in the reception office, so that we can see who's coming upstairs. And also a monitor with our CCTV box, and to have cameras outside as well, front and back.
So it's both option 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And the estates meeting recommended it was approved,
Yes,
yes.
yeah. Because it's more than the estates committee can approve, they recommended it for full council.
Okay.
They're our current, we have a current contract with them. They maintain all of our CCTV and fire alarms. And,
Quick question, do we need CCTV outside?
I think we've had a couple of incidences where we had no, if we'd have had proof, it might have been, helpful. And it's just that added security. It's added security at night, and not so much during the day, because there's obviously a lot of coming and going during the day, but just gives that little bit of extra security. It certainly help with our controls and protecting staff in the hub. Obviously, if anybody comes in to snatch money out the till, you can see them coming in and leaving.
So the idea is not to record evidence, but to be an extra pair of eyes.
Yeah.
Someone going to propose that? Councillor Robinson, second it, Councillor Chesser. All those in favour? Next item is to approve the quote to Pollard the Willow Tree on Rockingham Hills.
Yeah, the tree has got some dead branches on it, and when I first started getting quotes, we then realised that we've got to get permission because it's got a TPO on it, which I think that has gone, well it has, that's all gone through planning and has been approved. The two quotes that I was able to get are our normal people that we use for our tree work. One of them is £1,600 to remove the dead wood and reduce the crown by 60%, and the other one is £1,056. So I think the cheaper one is,
It's perfectly
yeah.
acceptable. Okay, so can I have someone to propose that we approve that quote?
I'll propose.
Robinson, all those in favour? Yes, unanimous. And then the next one, to approve the quote to install the bunting in the town.
At last, I've had permission from the owners to say we could put it up, and also I got the licence through from the county council, I've then been looking to try and get somebody to come and put it up. So I went to our Christmas light company, and they have said they could get it up this week before the food festival, but it will cost us £2,665.
Can you give everyone who
I'm
comes?
doing it out of my
Can you
chair.
give everyone who comes a little personal bit of bunting?
Yeah, I did. I said it's all labelled, it's all cut. You've just literally got to hook. And he went back to the company again and came back and said no, it'd be 2,665. It's really hard because last year out of school helped us, but I think there were a few issues with that. I went back to him to see if we could pay him to do it for us, and he said no. He only does these jobs because he does lots of other things around the school. He does it as a goodwill for them. But when he did it for us, he got a lot of flack from people in the town, apparently. Though I remember we were with him.
Yeah.
You were with him.
I was with him all the time.
Yeah. So I had a couple of emails back from out of school, so I just thought, right, well, I'll go elsewhere. But it's really difficult to find somebody.
Don't the firemen want to raise some money for charity?
Yeah, go
Well,
round.
that's not a bad suggestion.
It isn't actually, yeah.
That's
got a little- they've got a ladder.
I've never thought about
They're
that.
trying to work in hands.
There's a problem, yes, they probably have to
I think there might be.
But it's worth asking them to see if they, especially if it's charity money, because they're always trying to raise money for their benefit funds.
I can ask them. It's such a shame because we've got this brand new bunting. But if I don't get it up soon, it's hardly worth it.
No.
I'm just straying off quickly. I've been told that we can't use the old NMP building for electricity for the Christmas tree, so we'll have to find another source. They won't let us tap in.
Tenders or somebody will to run
Yeah.
flex across the road.
Just on that point, and not wanting listening to you too long, when you go to certain places in the town centre now where we've got what I assume is listed buildings, the mess of cables and wires on the outside of them, is quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
We do some of that because I can see, where we plugged,
Oh right, yeah.
and then we just let them up, or they're still there. If you go near the dentist, it's particularly bad.
I don't know if we've got. I don't think we've got wires. We've just got the little
If you have a
round.
look at one of them, it looks like an extension lead. It's got sockets
Yeah, that's
in it,
what
just dangling from the. But it's a listed building. You wouldn't normally allow things like that to go on.
Yeah, they would normally need to get permission for that. I would have thought. Yeah.
He's only been on the planning committee about 35 seconds. He's already making notes about this buildings.
So what are we saying then? I mean, the agenda item is to approve the quote. Are we saying that we're not with it's not
approve that.
sensible, right? Okay. So we're not going to have bunting up for the food festival, are we?
No, unfortunately.
No. Okay. And you're going to go and explore
The fire brigade.
charitable
Bunting.
people with ladders.
Yeah.
Probably husband as well, and he's standing on top of his.
Okay.
And if anybody does know of anybody who's got a cherry picker,
Well, they'll have something that goes up and down.
I do know that
Fire people will,
my neighbour hired a cherry picker to paint his woodwork, and it only cost him 400 quid
really.
for I'm tempted to say a week, but maybe it wasn't a week. It was because I asked him because I thought, I wonder if I can do mine the same way.
If it comes in on a 7.5-ton lorry, you won't be able to.
It was trailered. It had a tow hitch, so he put it behind his car.
The one that we had was a big lorry, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah, we didn't need one as big as that.
No.
And a small one would be better on the back of a Jeep or something because it zigzags backwards and forwards across the road all the way through the town. You're forever parking the thing, and then you're having to drive off, turn around the War Memorial, or turn around in I forget the name of the road now, Jericho, turn around there somewhere to come back up on the other side of the road, You just connect that one up, and then you have to cross back over the other side of the road, the other end of the next string. So it's crisscrossing the road many, many times. That was the only problem we had. And a smaller vehicle would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it has to be done, we've discovered it has to be done something like a Sunday morning starting about 6, 7 o'clock when there's nobody about, especially X4 buses. Because if you get wrapped around one of them, it's a bit...
Okay, I'm going to
Well,
move on.
the challenge is out.
I'm going to move on to the next agenda item because we're not going to vote on this one because we're not going to do that. So, communication and marketing working party. First item to approve the July annual Oracle.
Too late to put an article in there about anybody who's got a cherry picker.
And yes, I am missing some photographs, so before you leave,
Okay,
Tony, please, I'll take a picture. And if anybody wants to change a picture, they can have one.
Maybe people list what they're not here today, so bad luck. No, it's very good.
so are we happy with that? Is someone going to propose that? So that's Les Clark and Robinson again. And in favour? That is everyone again. Next item is to consider the aims of communication and marketing working party. So, we're not. This is for information, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
This is what we're saying you're going to be doing.
Hopefully.
Okay.
Fairly simple.
And the next item is to discuss the future of Oundle Oracle. So,
it wasn't really a proposition, it was really a request for permission, I suppose, to start looking at other options, whether a smaller, less glossy version, more often produced in a different way, maybe linking up with some of the magazines that come around already, might be worth looking at, but just start looking at other options. That was it, really. Just to try and make my experience of the Oracle is it often reports on what's been happening rather than what's going to happen, and if it was out more often, but a much easier and smaller affair, then it might help people pick it up at Waitrose or Co-op or something and just see what's coming up, and also one that's more electronically transferable to put on Facebook and websites and so on. And if everyone's happy with that, we can look at some options and come back. That's it.
I think in this overall big subject about communication with the town, we're not doing it particularly well at the moment. Yeah, and I think from that Saturday stall that we had when we were doing the neighbourhood plan, we engaged in some good conversations there, but it's people that really didn't understand what we were about. And I had a right ear bending off my wife this morning, following her coffee morning, and the whole group of sort of Oundle people just don't know what we're about or what we do, and they were quite vocal. One way she was sort of on the back foot over the issue. But yeah, it's an opportunity here with a new bloke to try and do something a bit different. That notice board outside of Waitrose, I never read the thing. It's very nice of them to put it up, but they find a better way of communicating.
yeah, I think a lot of what you said makes sense. Look forward to seeing what we can do to improve matters.
Good, well, fingers crossed.
Okay, next item is planning matters to receive the minutes for the planning committee meeting held 5th of June.
Well, they're in the pack. If anybody has any questions, we'll try and deal with them.
No? Okay. Next item to receive the minutes for the estates management committee held 22nd of May. Again, same comment really.
Although it was me, I wasn't there.
Yeah, I was
They elected me.
well done for being chair.
That's what happens if you don't turn up. you get the jobs.
Any points for Ryan?
I don't want to do it.
Okay. Anything else? Correspondence for information to receive the NCALC update for May-June. which obviously again we've seen, and to receive the Town and Parish Council briefing on local government reform in Northamptonshire, which didn't say a lot, but said it will keep you informed in the future when we've got something to tell you.
Is that the one about the unitary authority?
Yes, unitary authority.
The questionnaire that it leads you on to is much more informative.
Okay.
Bizarrely. Well, it suggests it's much more informative. You get to the end of it, what's going to happen is going to happen anyway.
Okay. Okay then. I mean, we don't have any public to exclude, but in view of the special and/or confidential nature of the business about to be transacted, it's advisable in the public interest that the public be temporarily excluded, and they're instructed to withdraw Standing Order 3C. So I proposed, David seconded, in favour. Yeah, that's everyone. Now then, and I'm going to read the position statement which I'm proposing we adopt. At a time when there are concerns about the County Council and the move to a unitary council, Oundle Town Council must ensure that it delivers the best services to the people of Oundle. The following recent events at Oundle Town Council and the threat of legal proceedings against the council, it seems apparent that the council needs to reassure the people of Oundle that it has no interest in pursuing any issues that relate to what happened in the past, and from now on will be focusing on what is best for the future of Oundle and its residents. Allowing the council to still be affected by issues that happened over 2 years ago is not a good use of resources and taxpayers' money. Specifically, the Council no longer wishes to pursue the outsourcing of financial services or any investigation of procedures, practices, policies or internal controls and matters related to them that were in place prior to 1st of April 2017. The Council needs to draw a line and make sure that all its resources and energies are properly directed to improving the social, economic and environmental well-being of the people of Oundle. So the Council is invited to resolve tonight that this position statement be adopted, and that's my proposition. So can I ask if someone will second that? Councillor Clark. Those in favour? And those against? Okay, thank you. Next item is to agree how to resolve the issues relating to the grievances received. The proposal is that the council employee who has raised grievances is to be offered mediation to try to resolve the differences between the individual and the council. And again, I will propose that. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Robinson. Those in favour? That's unanimous. And then the final proposal is that in order to respond to a resident complaint, as was discussed at the meeting held on 8th of May, the Mayor will, on behalf of the Council, write to the residents and respond to the complaint and hopefully resolve. That's the proposal. Again, I'll propose it. Councillor Robinson seconded. All those in favour? Again, that's unanimous. Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, final item is any other matters for report only. Does anyone have anything they want to add?
A couple of times recently, I've driven along St Peter's Road. And the problem is that in avoiding parked cars, you cannot avoid the potholes, because you end up having to slalom between parked cars, and the surface of that road is now so bad that it's a disgrace. It's not the only one in Oundle that's bad, but it's one that I'm particularly conscious of, even though I no longer live in that road. I know the County Council's got no money, but ultimately, we can't go on just neglecting road surfaces around the town indefinitely. And I think as a council, we should be trying to have a meeting with somebody from Highways to actually look at some of the worst places in the town and see whether we can actually get them to at least offer to do some of the work that clearly needs doing.
Do you know when you went, because I've been on a road in Oundle in the last 2 days or so that looks like they've come along and they've mended loads and loads of potholes, and I can't remember if it's that road.
Well, I haven't driven down it for a couple of days, so perhaps I better
But
go
it was
and
a
check
road
it
that
out.
I was thinking, oh wow, they've done something. But it might not be that road, but I'll go down and have a look, and then they've all been reported, because I think St Peter's Road had some massive ones.
No,
Yeah.
it's awful.
Um,
Or was awful.
but I'll double check, and if not, I'll speak to Sarah Barner, see if she can help.
Okay. Anyone else want to?
Well, just that we've had a couple of people with head injuries in the town in the last few days.
Oh,
One was a lady knocked off at the end of Milton Road,
Yeah.
October, and there was a lady who fell, tripped on the pavement and was unconscious, and I saw her in the marketplace, very near to the seat that's, if you like, outside the coffee tavern. And she was obviously duly taken to hospital, and she was unconscious on the pavement, and she did have a head injury.
I think there's been a number of people tripping over pavements
Yeah.
in and around the place
Yeah.
recently. So
Now I have to say that I'm one of those people who says, well, if you come and live in an old town, you have to expect that things won't be even. But we do seem to have a lot of instances now, it's increasing on that marketplace, where the New York stones are disregarded and any old rubbish is put in by people who come and dig it up for various reasons. I think we ought to keep a bit of an eye on it.
yeah. I mean that one, you know, the
It was
one
one
you,
outside Bramston, wasn't there?
they did that fairly quickly.
Yes, they
that one.
did. I mean, that
Amazingly.
was, should never have been left in
No,
that state.
because it was
Never.
awful. Yeah.
Whose responsibility is it to maintain the?
Highway.
It's highway, isn't it? Yeah.
That, yeah, I did that. I mean, that day you said I put it on
Yeah.
Street Doctor, and that was done
Yes, it
within
was done,
a
yeah.
few days. But like you say, it was terrible.
Yeah, but this person actually was unconscious for 20 minutes.
Well, if there's no other points that you want to raise, I think we can close the meeting.